I feel like all going on. Though the trials they may come on every hand, I feel like all going on. Passion public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something.
So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for Passion No Last Necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast.
Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to season 2 of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, Passion No Last Necessary, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I've observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have considered to both expand your thinking and become a better version of yourself for both yourself and others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel what you feel. Same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you operate as your highest and best self. That said, midway through last season, I started doing affirmations to start each episode to make sure that regardless to what we discuss, we start on the highest possible vibration. Let's keep that same energy, shall we? You are always welcome to repeat after me or to use this time to state your own affirmations. I am present. I am available. I am dedicated to myself. I am dedicated to my goals. I am growing and expanding every day. I am trustworthy. I trust myself to get the job done. I perform to the best of my ability. I make my best effort in everything I do. I excel in everything I put my mind to. I am my biggest competitor. I am my best competitor. My competition wants to see me win. My competition is cheering for me. My competition is waving me over the finish line. I am victorious. I celebrate my success by continuing to be better daily. I am grateful for every new day, every day. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Last season was phenomenal, y'all, despite a few bumps in the road, and this season won't be any different. We will have guests for some shows and one-on-one time for other shows. But whether it's just us or we have some plus ones, there will always be some good food for thought. And you'll always walk away with something great. Sorry. I decided to start this season with a special request. 1, because I love to surprise people. And 2, because this topic hits close to home for me. So one of my primititas is an avid supporter of the show. And she reached out to me behind the scenes to ask me if I would do an episode on consistency. So the answer, primitita, is yes, I will. Why does this hit home for me? Well, we've talked about my journey to get here several times. And beyond subject matter, beyond equipment, one of the most important elements to keep an operation of this magnitude running is consistent effort. Consistent effort. Effort is great, but it is really meaningless if it's sporadic. And meaningless may seem harsh or too far as a description, but consider this. If the goal is to take this podcast and this message as far as possible, the content not only has to be substantive and substantial on some level, but it also has to be available for regular and repeated consumption. If it's not, then this is just me posting nicely shot opinions on occasion and not a full-fledged show. Now, I can opine without all the theatrics. That's what my regular PSAs are for. If you were around for the previous pod, you know that there came a time when I was having major post-production issues. My co-host and I had done a check-in episode. I knew that the audience wanted to hear from him, and I knew the audience missed our dynamic. So it was important that I get that episode up. I edited that episode countless times, only to have to edit it all over again because the edits wouldn't save. I wasn't going to put it up raggedy, but I could not post it. So I was stuck. And I started to lose momentum because I couldn't even work on another episode with this one dangling in the balance. So I went from having an episode up every week to no episode being posted for 3 weeks. The inconsistency of posting sullied my experience as well as my audience's. People were checking for an episode that wasn't there. People were hoping for and expecting something that they simply weren't getting. Some lost hope and they just gave up altogether. I started to lose hope. That said, primitita, to your first question, how do you do it? I think the first step is multi-tiered, but I don't know how much emphasis is put on tier 2. So in any entrepreneurial venture, the leaders will always tell you that you have to establish your why. Why are you doing this? They'll tell you that if your why isn't strong enough or big enough, that you won't stay motivated when times get tough. I can't remember hearing, doesn't mean that I didn't, but I don't remember hearing how committed are you to your why, which to me is tier 2. And before someone asks, no, I don't think they're the same thing. Your kids may be your why, but to what extent and what extremes are you willing to go? And parents, stay focused because this is neither a parenting episode nor a review or attack of your parenting skills or styles. We'll save that for another day. But getting back to it, your dreams may be your why, but are you committed to where, let's say, homelessness is even a consideration? Especially when we've heard so many huge celebrities who've experienced homelessness and destitution as part of their story. Are you committed enough to your why that those extremes could be part of your story? I think the level of commitment to your why far outweighs the why alone. Your level of commitment to your why is critical. If your why is because the bills have to get paid, that's only going to sustain you as long as there's no possible wiggle room with paying them. Like there are people who will legit not pay a bill until they absolutely have to. But absolutely have to is not the due date. Absolutely have to is when they're at the border of their access being suspended, like their card being cut off or their lights being cut off or their door being padlocked. And to someone who's more responsible or more committed to their life and self-sustaining, this sounds absurd and far-fetched. But if you look left and you look right, you'll see that not only is it not far-fetched, it's someone you thought you knew and well. Your commitment to your why has to be non-negotiable to have true consistency. I have a message to share. There is improvement that is happening as a result of this sharing. There are lives being saved. My commitment to seeing people do better is unwaning. Thinking, analyzing, and sharing my thoughts comes to me as naturally as breathing. When I made a decision to do it in this format, having episodes available for y'all wasn't an option. So if I have to stay up all night or start 3 months in advance, and thank God that I did give myself a decent head start this time because 10 minutes worth of content erased. If you've ever written for time as well as content, you know exactly how much writing disappeared. Google, you're going to stop disrespecting my work, okay? I digress. The point is, the only option is to get it done. Worry or concern over who else is as vested as I am isn't an option. Worry over how it's received isn't an option. The only option is to create and release the content. If I do allow myself an additional option, it's to continuously improve, period. And there's no wiggle room on that. So figure out what it means to you, how important it is, and how committed you are to seeing whatever it is come to pass. And I'd even challenge you to go a step further and have an honest conversation with yourself about what you're committed to currently, be it consciously or unconsciously, and ask yourself why. Are you one of those people that is vested in your favorite show? Are you carving out time to catch up on episodes? And listen, if this is your favorite show, thank you. And do not stop carving out that time for your girl, okay? Because views, listens, likes, comments, shares, all that jazz, all of it counts, all of it matters. So keep up the good work, okay? Better together. Praise the Lord, saints, okay? I'm not trying to discourage you from carving out time for anything that feeds and lifts your spirit. Sometimes our favorite podcasts are our therapy sessions. Sometimes they're the only business coaching or financial planning we either absolutely can afford or we feel that we can afford. So I get it. But if it's solely for pleasure, solely for entertainment, do you at least have stock in the viewing platform? Do you get royalties from aired episodes? Do you get a check if the show goes into syndication? If the answer is no, but you're creating time to consume the content, ask yourself why. Identifying what you already do consistently will help you figure out how to be consistent in something that has lesser appeal or how to redirect the consistency in areas where you need to do better. You remember last season when I said that me and being on time have had this adversarial relationship for most of my life? What does that mean? It means I've been consistently late, at least as far back as the third grade. Okay, so why? I'm usually overthinking how much time I actually have. I'm not committed to being tardy, but it disturbs me deeply to feel like I'm robbing myself of even a second for what I want or need to do. If I can't start working when I get to work, or I can't at least set up comfortably in the space, I feel like I'm robbing myself of time that could be otherwise or could have been otherwise allocated. So in that, I've determined that my unwavering commitment is to me getting the most out of my time. Will getting to work early facilitate that? No, because there's nowhere for me to go that doesn't require a start and stop. And I don't like to stop and start again. But what I was able to identify is that I need something that allows me to spend and use my time the way I need to. Will that determination make me more timely for work? Probably not. But it tells me that I either need a different line of work, read more like I need to work for myself, because my commitment is either to me or to the thing I most want to do. So I stay consistent to this content creation because I'm committed to serving my audience and because I'm committed to either being self-employed or rich and unemployed. Come on, somebody. Meaning that all I do is delegate tasks to the team and the team does the work. The next question you asked me is, how do you keep going when you slip up? So the first thing I'd say to that is to do whatever you need to do to keep yourself reminded that no one is coming to save you, and they don't need to, because whether you realize it or not, you came fully equipped to save yourself. Taking courses from Derek Grace, he used to always say, fail fast and fail forward. Even as a veteran to something, you can still make a misstep. You can't wallow in the error, though. Neo DeViso always says success loves speed. So that can be applied two ways, right? The first is recognizing that you have to jump on and seize opportunities as soon as they present themselves. And the second application is knowing that when you do drop the ball, when you fail, when you slip, however you want to call it, you have to get back to it as quickly as possible. And I can hear you saying, but how, cousin? Push. When you don't want to do something or when you're ready to give up, that's when you have to coach yourself and say, listen, if I stop here, I'll never get there. I dropped this ball, but that doesn't mean I dropped all the balls I was juggling. I dropped the ball. I didn't throw it into a black hole from whence it can never be retrieved. So onward. Assess the damage. Whatever I did it cost me the whole business or cost me the job? And if yes, what are the obstacles keeping me from starting over? If no, can whatever I did be corrected quickly, or does it need extended time? Regardless of the time frame required, how soon can I start? The faster you start on the rebound, the faster you're back to movement. The longer you stay idle, the more opportunity the negative committee has to ramp up with their campaign of self-destruction. Momentum is key. Start losing momentum, and you don't necessarily lose the opportunity, but you absolutely lose the drive. And who wants to start over at square one all the time? That's the other thing. Keep yourself reminded of how far you are from square one. So starting over because of laziness doesn't start looking like a good idea. And I know I keep telling you to keep yourself reminded. So this is what you do. Sticky notes on your wall or on your desk, those are great reminders. For a more decorative option, type the quote up, type the reminder up, print it on a colored sheet of paper, put that sucker in a cheap, pretty frame from your local dollar store, hang it on your wall in front of where you work. So when you start slacking or you start daydreaming and staring off into space, those are the words you're looking at when you come back. Also, be mindful of what you're listening to. Like on the gram, I follow a great mix of people. So even when I do get lost in the Instaverse, I'll come up on a reel or an IGTV that makes me say, yeah, let me get my act together, because I'm sitting here looking at these people that are already doing it. They're making the money. They're living their dreams. I'm looking at them when I could be making the money and living my dreams right along with them. So keep some kind of motivational or inspirational content in your mix. You asked what makes it so hard to stay consistent. For one, distractions are bountiful and abundant. We opt into distractions every day just by refusing to pay for certain things. You have a paid subscription to YouTube, or you consume the free version. The free version has less offerings and more interruptions. And let me stop right there, okay? Because I know Ghost is ready to be on the keys like Kermit, talking about, did you subscribe? Yes, I did. I can't pay for my subscription. So do not come in my comments talking to me sideways, please and thank you. But so we're opting into distractions every day, right? Going back to YouTube, the free version has less offerings and more interruptions. But we'll take it if it saves us $10, right? So you save $10 for the month that you're probably going to blow today and every day this week. You'll justify the daily expenditure as a necessity that probably could have been avoided with a little advanced effort and or planning. And for the $10 you saved, literally almost everything you want to watch is being disrupted with commercials that you may or may not be able to skip, showing you things that you're like 95% not likely to have interest in. I don't care how many surveys to tailor ads they give you, or that's going to lure you away from what you actually came here for, just out of curiosity. As people, we love distractions. They're a means of escape. And since more of us are more interested in escapism than conflict resolution and problem solving skills, hello, somebody, we invest lots of money into anything that provides us an option to not focus on the issue. Next up, discipline feels pretty whack, especially if it keeps us from doing what we enjoy. The ultimate goal has to taste better than the short-term reward. The art installation that is museum ready has to taste better than the binge watching this particular series. When what's going to take longer has more appeal than the instant gratification, discipline takes on a new flavor. It doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like routine instead. And even that's a contributing factor to why consistency can be so challenging. A lot of us don't like anything that feels mundane or redundant. And because we don't study ourselves, we don't see where routine serves us, and we don't pay attention to the negatives that are part of our routine. Message. But watch a mother with a new baby. That schedule is clutch. Think back to when you were in school. The day being scheduled into these very specific increments was effective. We got to look past what's exciting. And sometimes we got to look past what's exciting sometimes and see what's most effective. So ask yourself, 1, am I comfortable with routine? 2, am I comfortable with routine because of the structure it provides or because that's what I'm accustomed to? It's important to figure out what kinds of routines you're comfortable with and your comfort level, because if the structure isn't provided for you, how likely are you to create a structure for yourself? And more importantly, how likely are you to adhere to it? Like I could tell you to rise at 6 a.m., do 15 minutes of affirmations, 15 minutes of meditation and mantra, and 15 minutes of prayer. I can tell you to eat these meals by these times and tell you to make sure you complete X, Y, and Z activities before going to bed and getting 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. You doing it because I instructed you is indicative of a couple possibilities. One, you think I have life figured out, so you're simply following my lead. Or two, you're used to being told what to do, so you respond better to direction. But if you had to create your own routine, how many days would you stick to it before you start making excuses about why this wasn't done and why that had to be skipped today? And I think all of that ties into your final question. How do you overcome the difficulties? First in everything is language and perspective, right? So we would want to relabel it as a challenge instead of difficulty, because difficulty, a thing that's hard to accomplish, that's a definition, has a negative denotation, and challenge has more of a positive denotation in that it's an invite or a call to take part in something or a situation that tests one's ability. That small perspective shift will begin a huge changeover, because now you're not looking at it as hard from the beginning. Instead, you're looking at it as you versus you, and that's all it ever is and all it's ever been. Your current self versus your evolved self. Next, and what will probably be the most resonant, if you're looking for an easy solution, there is none. If you're not motivated, if you're not driven, if you're not a self-starter, you'll be a restarter until you get tired of starting over from scratch and thinking about how many times you've started over, or thinking about how far you'd be if you hadn't given up the last time. The thing about consistency is this. If you do a thing continuously, you'll develop a habit whether you intend to or not. If when developing the habit, you intentionally increase the intensity, you'll get bigger and better at it. If you're looking for overnight results, they're not coming. If you're looking to say an hour of affirmations and then poof, the manifestation appears, hit nagasa, you're wasting your time. Consistency is developed over time through active and intentional repetition. The results you desire from your consistency are shaped by what you work at and work on. I want a minimum 7-figure podcast. I have to make sure I'm putting out quality episodes on a regular basis. That's the minimum I have to do. Is there more? Sure. But that's the least I have to do. If it is my intention to have the episode up by noon on Tuesday, waiting until 10 p.m. Monday night to start writing is not an ideal practice when I still have to shoot and edit and all that other fun stuff. And it may take me 4 or 5 hours to write a 20-minute episode. And that's provided technology doesn't hide or delete my stuff again. Come back inside, close the window behind you, pull down the shade. Y'all gotta excuse me, that's how I talk myself off the ledge. Anyway, what is it you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How critical is your why? How much are you willing to sacrifice for it? Are you willing to sacrifice the love and support of your family for it? Yes, that's extreme. But extreme reactions and responses often follow announcements of following your dreams. If and when you drop the ball, you can take a moment to feel bad about it, but shift that from wallowing in self-pity and guilt, because guilt is also very paralyzing, and use that time while you're feeling not so great about the miss to determine how you got here, if the situation is salvageable, and what you can and will do differently. Remind yourself that repeated actions yield repeated results. So if you didn't like the last outcome, you have to do something different. It doesn't have to be totally different, but you do have to identify the one thing that can and will make a difference and immediately begin to correct or implement that. When you're really ready for better results, you'll start enacting better practice. So let's eliminate saying that consistency is hard and get to the real root of the issue. We enjoy distractions and enjoy being distracted. Because truthfully, we all know one person who will hide in a closet under a comforter with studio quality headphones on, listening to flow music or binaural beats to block out any and every distraction, because they're that dedicated to their results. Discipline requires 100 times more than lackadaisy. But like we talked about in the finale episode, you can't show up offering the least and expecting the most. More importantly, you shouldn't even be comfortable offering yourself the least. You gotta be worth more than gold to you. And if you're not, then it's time to start unpacking that why. And overcoming the challenge is as simple as you being ready for more. When you're ready to do more and to have more, you'll act accordingly. Your actions are indicating to you what you're ready for. So change your actions or change your desires. Just recognize that something has to change. Okay? Does that answer your questions? Passionate, y'all feel like I covered it, or you think there's more to add? Definitely drop your comments below because I do read them. If you have a listener letter that you'd like me to respond to but want your anonymity maintained, you can email listener letters to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. No, I will probably not email you back, but I will address it here. If you're watching, subscribe to my YouTube channel, What One Woman Does Network. If you're listening, subscribe on your preferred platform. Help me help others. Donations can be made on the Podbean page through my Linktree and via Cash App. Do let me know if you need a receipt for tax purposes. If you don't own a business, you don't need a receipt. You want one. There is a difference. And I think that's all the housekeeping I want to do today. Go forth, be great, be filled with bliss, be armed and empowered with knowledge. Be intentional and your consistency will follow. In all things, be passionate. I'll see you later.